Just your friendly reminder that rating and reviewing this podcast is said to incur good karma. The reviews that come in make me happy, and I'm a child of Jupiter, and that makes Jupiter happy. So in a way, it might be true that listening to this podcast can bring good fortune, but you won't know until you subscribe, rate, and review. Being a child of Jupiter means that I keep tabs on all things Jupiter at all times, and this week we have some interesting Jupiterian motion. Let's get into the forecast and find out what it is. I'm going to come right out the gate and say that this week is filled, and I mean absolutely filled to the brim with planetary shifts. There's barely any aspects taking place, which I'm totally cool with because we have enough on our plate to keep us busy. The end of June really goes out with a bang. We're starting out with Mars ingressing into Gemini today, Sunday, June 28th. Then on Monday, June 29th, Mercury finally stations retrograde in Cancer, and we have a full moon in Capricorn. Then on June 30th, Jupiter ingresses into Leo. We're going to go over each one of these here, but I have written articles on some of them for my Substack. If you want more information on these, or you just like reading and seeing transits on paper, go over there and subscribe. All my content is free. Also, I figured out that Substack has this really awesome feature where it'll read the article to you, kind of like an audiobook, which that blew my mind a little bit because I thought it was super cool, and it makes my writing even more accessible, which is super cool. So just go check it out and subscribe. It's awesome. Like I said, full roster this week. The end of June is filled to the brim with changes and culminating energy. We'll take these transits in order and talk about how they're going to impact the week as well as their overall impact, because most of these are a lot longer than just a week. So let's dive right in with Mars in Gemini. This is the start of my Mars return, so I'm a little pumped and I'm a little wary because I personally don't think I need to make any more changes to my work life or my life trajectory right now. But who knows? Mars in Gemini is unpredictable, even for someone like me who has it natally. So for people who aren't familiar with this energy, the big takeaway is that you cannot control this. Mars in Gemini is an intellectual tornado. The way we take action is no longer going to be deliberate, intentional, and thought out like it was with Mars in Taurus. The area of life that Gemini rules for you is going to get hit with a class 5 hurricane, and all we can do is be a ficus. Why a ficus? Because a ficus needs to be shaken by the wind in order to strengthen its root system, and the winds that blow over the realm of Gemini over the next few weeks will be ones that we have to bend and be flexible with, or else we'll snap like a twig. But if we do bend and be flexible, it will strengthen our roots as well. We're going to be pulled in a lot of different directions and have a lot of different ambitions. If you're not used to this type of energy, then it might feel like you're losing your mind a little bit. Restless energy is the only energy that Mars in Gemini knows and understands. I want you to know that it's okay to not finish whatever you start during this time. I want you to know that it's okay to have a million different interests during this time, because it's likely that you will start many things and you will not finish most of them. Don't beat yourself up about that. Mars's time in Gemini is about staying flexible, seeing all the options, learning new things, and fluttering around to whatever you think might be cool to learn, cool to explore. Expect distractions and side quests. Honestly, mostly side quests. This is not a main storyline kind of Mars. It does not progress the main story. This is side characters, side quests, weird offshoots, tangents. This is a let me go see what's over there and completely derail my progress kind of Mars. But that's the thing. Progress to Mars in Gemini is new knowledge and having the experience itself. It's not about some concrete goal or big overarching goal. It's about the abstract nature or learning and experiencing something firsthand. It's the details along the way that you pick up on the way to the goal. And honestly, the goal's probably going to change. So allow yourself to just be mutable, be flexible. If this sounds exhausting and a little scattered, it's because it is. The realm of Gemini will be filled with fun and curiosity, but not exactly straightforward ambition. Don't expect things to get done in any kind of organized fashion. Be a ficus. Let the wind shake you and bend with the direction that Mars pushes you, but fully be prepared to bend in another direction the next day or even the next hour. Staying open and flexible is the main takeaway for Mars and Gemini. So that's today if you're listening in real time, and it's Sunday, June 28th if you're listening in the future. We got the first planetary ingression down, then Monday hits, and we have a full moon and retrograde station. So let's tackle the full moon first. The full moon is going to be in Capricorn on Monday, June 29th. The moon has detrimental dignity in Capricorn. We all know it. We don't care. Detrimental dignity is not a death sentence. The moon is Saturn ruled and will also be squaring Saturn at the time of the lunar event. Bold move to square the ruler. This full moon has gumption. I'll give it that. Remember that full moons are a culmination point, and then we're working to release as we move into the waning phases. So that's why full moons have that signification of release behind them, because they've already hit 100%. They're at full tilt and they're fully illuminated, and then after that, there's nowhere to go but down. So we have to release as we're moving into the waning phases. What this full moon brings to light will pertain to the realm of Capricorn and the realm of Aries a good bit, since this is Saturn ruled and there's that square between them. There's tension with what Capricorn wants to highlight and build and what Aries wants to highlight and build. These are both cardinal signs, so the answer to that tension that the full moon brings is to simply plow through. This is the goat and the ram. Put your head down and charge forward. There's no time to be overly emotional with what this full moon brings to light. We have to be pragmatic, grounded, and most importantly, solution-oriented. Solving the tension and bringing resolution between Capricorn and Aries is what both realms ultimately want, even if they're kind of being stubborn about it. This full moon also wants us to keep longevity in mind. We're working to build something with staying power. This means that cheap fixes and landlord specials won't do the trick. You can't keep putting a Band-Aid over whatever the full moon brings up. You can't keep doing that any longer. Approach this full moon energy and any issues that it highlights with long-term solutions. We're not wanting to revisit this, so squash it. Be done with it. We don't need to consider emotion when dealing with this energy. This is cut and dry. It's very matter of fact and straightforward. If we try to muddy the full moon's energy with emotion, it's only going to delay what needs done or cause us to put the Band-Aid and not take appropriate action. Be strong enough to shoulder the burden, see the problem, and take the necessary action to solve any issues. This is a no-frills full moon, so treat it as such and get shit done. Now, an area that is all about the frills will be the realm of Cancer. Mercury is finally stationing retrograde in the realm of Cancer on Monday. Monday has the potential to be a little hairy with this full moon and Mercury station, so just be on the lookout for the crazies and people in oddly bad moods. Having both of these fall on the same day and be in the opposite axis is definitely going to heighten both events a little bit. Luckily, the moon and Mercury aren't in range with each other for an aspect, but they're still in the opposing houses, so that tension is there. I've written a whole article about this Mercury retrograde on my Substack, so it's best to get all the details and the info there. But this really is about taking the accumulated wisdom that Jupiter in Cancer gave us and reworking it. Jupiter in Cancer is rapidly coming to a close, as we'll talk about in a minute, and we need to wrap up this energy and organize it. Mercury's retrograde is our chance to do just that. We're pulling back the layers, opening up the shell, and seeing what's inside. This should honestly be kind of an exciting retrograde. We have a lot of material to work with from Jupiter, and it is Cancer season as well, and we need to get in there. We need to get inside and sort it out. A lot of the growth we experienced was subtle or even completely subconscious while Jupiter was in Cancer. So this retrograde is our chance to go within and make it more conscious. Bring that wisdom to the surface and integrate it into our full awareness and make actual use of it. So while the full moon is needing us to be less emotional, Mercury's retrograde will be bringing up emotion and stirring our need for a stronger connection. We might even be sifting through old things that we used to nurture or things that we used to try to bring to life, and we're finding that that's no longer what we want. We're figuring out what it is we want to nurture now with all this accumulated wisdom from Jupiter. The full moon's energy is one thing and Mercury retrogrades is another. Luckily, Mars will be in Gemini, so we'll be encouraged to tackle more than one thing at a time and juggle 1,000 plates. The full moon's energy is also really short. It's a one-off kind of thing where we need to be more in our logical brain. And once we tend to that, then we can fully open up the crab shell and allow emotions to flow and be in that heart-centered space. The last big ingression for the week is one I'm very excited about. Jupiter ingresses into Leo on Tuesday, June 30th. This is my Jupiter return, which is why I'm so excited about it, but also because Jupiter in Leo is super cool. I wrote about the mythological connections of Jupiter and Leo on my Substack, so go there and check those out. There's some really fun connections with Zeus and lions, but I won't spoil it here. Jupiter may not have dignity in Leo like it did Cancer, but it's gonna have a blast. There's no shortage of indulgence and drama with this Jupiter transit. This will last for a whole year, a whole calendar year. So we have a year of being in the spotlight or learning to embrace the spotlight within the realm that Leo rules for us. This transit is about self-love, building your own fire, embracing your worth, basking in the glow of your own radiance, and sharing warmth with others. Creativity, courage, and charisma are the words for this transit. Similar to the Mars and Gemini sentiment, if you aren't used to this kind of energy, it can feel like a lot. It can be really overwhelming. So if you are one of those people where it feels like, oh, this might feel overwhelming, then give yourself time to warm up to the idea of being in the spotlight or embracing a more authentic version of yourself within the realm of Leo. There's no rush with this energy, and you should build your fire at your own pace. That's also part of the Leo signification is you're doing this at your own pace. You're embracing the spotlight in your own pace, in your own way. Now, if you're like me and you're accustomed to this energy, then people like us need to be careful about not burning out, not taking up all the oxygen in the room, or just not being too over the top, too messy. I say this in my Jupiter and Leo article, and I stand by it. This is a go big or go home energy. Even if you fail or embarrass yourself, it's better to be loud and obnoxious than subtle and subdued. And that is personal to everyone. My obnoxious and your obnoxious are going to be two totally different things. That's why I say it's personal to what your chart is set up to, what your boundaries are, what this is like for you, what your ego expression is like. So it's not that you all of a sudden have to be on stage and be out in the crowd, but it is about pushing yourself in a way that you normally wouldn't. So when I say it's drama, it's flair, it's the theatrics, it's charisma and creativity and all those good things, it really still is personal to you and what those things mean to you, where your baselines are at, and how you can push them a little bit further. So while this transit is in play, you can't be too loud. You can't be too big. I'm the first to admit that I'm obnoxious. My Libra rising does its best to keep the fire at bay, but all the Sagittarius with then Jupiter and Leo, it's a cocktail of obnoxious joy. The key to Jupiter and Leo is not caring if you're obnoxious or if you feel like you're being too much. Because while you might be too much for some people, that exact same fire is what other people are going to love. It's about being your authentic self and cultivating a fire that attracts exactly what you want, need, and desire. This kind of feels like it might be a pushback as well against influencer culture, where everyone is trying to be exactly like the influencer or doing the same thing. This is not about that. This is about seeing who you are and what makes you special and what makes you shine. And we all have that. That's the best thing about Jupiter and Leo is it's not just me. It's also you. I want to see your fire too. I want to see you shine. I want to see you dazzle. I want to see you do the thing. So don't be afraid to be larger than life within the realm of Leo. Starting this week, a fire is going to be built there no matter what. So you might as well have a hand in it and enjoy it. I said at the start of the week, we are filled to the brim with planetary shifts and new energy, and I meant it. This is a lot to get used to, and everything I just went down, the rundown of everything, that's not going to be integrated right away. It's all going to take a little time to get moving, except maybe the Mars and Gemini. That'll probably hit us pretty fast. But this is a lot to get used to regardless of how fast it hits us. It's a lot to get used to while in the midst of a Mercury retrograde. So we're having to be that ficus and remain flexible as Mars and Gemini blows us all over the place. And then we have to start building a fire and showing up in bigger ways in the realm of Leo, all while the full moon in Capricorn is saying, hey guys, I need this looked at immediately. And then Mercury stations retrograde. Take this week in stride. You don't have to get it all done at once, except for whatever the full moon in Capricorn is pointing towards. That is something I would prioritize this week just because it has the shortest lifespan. The moon moves fast, so it'll be here and gone. Wrap up that full moon energy, get it out of your headspace, and move on to the other 17 things that Mars and Gemini wants you to look at, and all the other things you have to integrate with the Mercury retrograde. Don't let the Mars and Gemini flightiness kick in and sweep you up until that full moon is handled. Have a great week, and I'm sorry in advance if I'm super obnoxious and joyous over the next year, but I'm going to ride that Jupiter and Leo wave as much as possible, and you should too. Thank you for tuning into this week's forecast. If you want more astrological content, including horoscopes, retrograde guides, and occult ramblings, subscribe to my Substack at Delana. It's the best way to keep up to date with my work and to never miss a post. To book a reading with me, sign up for my mailing list on my website, moonmattersastrology.com. I'll meet you back here next week, but until next time, later days.